I've been a deal chaser all my life, and it's been fun. And as South Carolina continues to grow and expand at an unprecedented rate, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for that.
Country estates, $800,000 homes in Ridgeville.
Yeah, I cared about the empowerment that I never had to depend on anybody. I never wanted to know I had to go do something I didn't want to do.
We will have the most affordable way to build a single-family home on your land in the state of South Carolina.
I'm past the halfway point for sure, and so I got so many that are healthy, and I'm going to try to spend them enjoying the hang out of my kids and my wife and my friends, and just take in all these blessings, because they aren't going to be there forever.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Barndo Show. I'm excited today. I got a friend and a guy that doesn't really need a lot of introduction in the state of South Carolina, Mr. Bauer. But go ahead and jump in and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing.
Well, I guess the biggest nugget back in the very late 80s or early 90s, I started dabbling in real estate. Back then, you could buy assumables. Somebody had a house, you would take over their loan. It seems archaic now, almost crazy, but I started buying houses way back then and have grown that portfolio over the years. I never made a lot of money, but I would roll those real estate deals into bigger and bigger deals, and it gave me an unbelievable portfolio now. And that's kind of what I do. I do a lot of real estate, even when I've had the luxury of serving, whether it be in public office or doing TV, whatever I did, I always took that money and rolled it back into more real estate. And so that's kind of how you and I forged a friendship, talking about opportunities and how you take possible raw dirt and add improvements and sell it. And it's a good way to make a living. It's a fun way to grow your family. And I've had a lot of fun over the years. A lot of people think I'm crazy because I've lived in so many different places, but I've been a deal chaser all my life, and it's been fun. And as South Carolina continues to grow and expand at an unprecedented rate, there's going to be a lot more opportunity for that. I mean, just riding here, as you ride down some of these country roads that are going from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, and you can see just the development almost overnight. It's coming to South Carolina, whether we're ready or not. Sometime back, the Speaker of the House put me on the infrastructure bank board, and so now we talk about where the next highway funding projects will go and the priorities of the state, and there's just so many needs right now for growth in our interstate system. And it doesn't matter whether you get on 95, 26 through 85 or 85, you can see the traffic that's here, coming, and will be here in the future. Look, you don't have to look very, very hard to look at some other places that aren't quite as fun to live, whether it be the taxation, the politics, the weather. There's a good reason people want to get not only to the South, but to South Carolina. And they're going to continue to come, and you and I are going to be benefactors of that.
There's no question, man. And you are not lying about you moving around and living so many different places, because just in the short time that you and I have been hanging out, I think you've been in 3 or 4 different places.
I have.
Every time I call you, you're like, I'm over at this house and moving over to this house.
And it's exciting. It's exciting. I got a big closing next week, and got a couple more getting ready to come out of the ground. So we're rolling, but it's a fun time to be a South Carolinian, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Oh, there's no question, man. It is absolutely booming in the Palmetto State. And, talking about infrastructure, everybody that comes here complains about the highways. And one is they weren't designed for this many people. Number 2 is we're always having to build them. So there's no way to make them.
I was in Atlanta yesterday, and if you take Atlanta's a big city. We're a mid-sized city, but in all the places I've lived, the ability to get around Greenville and outlying areas is probably better than any of the other cities I've lived in, because it has so many different arteries coming into the city, and most cities don't have that many. I don't want to reference other cities I've lived in, but nobody has the infrastructure system that we're fortunate enough to have here in Greenville.
I think you just have the old Carolina boys that are like, where are all these people doing
and it's easy to go from scratching your head going, how did we get here? But it's happening all over the South. And it's through a lot of good years. You could go back a lot of governors and a lot of good people that led in the House and Senate that passed great tax policy, good business policy. There were a lot of people a long time ago, and since then, you go all the way back to Campbell bringing BMW here, and then Boeing, Volvo, Michelin. I mean, you go down a litany of companies, big companies that brought a lot here, and what they spun off to the smaller companies, it created an infrastructure of businesses that were proven, and more folks want to. When I was still in office, I can remember going to Abu Dhabi and Dubai to meet with folks that were looking at investing here at one time in an intermodal port outside of Orangeburg. And so there's more and more folks looking at where their dollars are most useful, and whether it's employment, whether it's land. You still get a lot of, even though we think, prices are going up, compared to other places, you still get a whole lot of bang for your buck. And of course, the company that I do a lot of work for that hired me, when they do their presentations, and they'll have thousands of people looking, and they say, you can still buy a very nice house here for $400,000. And for when folks are up north and they see $400,000, they can't get a trailer on the worst spot in the worst shape for that, and they can get a brand new 3-bedroom nice house for $400,000 here on a piece of land. It's a big life change for them. And so it's easy for us not to totally understand it, but there's a reason why people are coming here in droves.
Yeah, well, and I think it all is the pioneering of the industry that's came here. Because when I was a kid, that's when BMW planted here, and it was basically in our backyard. And you have something like BMW come here, and it was, what's funny is as a kid in Greenville, South Carolina, growing up in Greer, everybody drove a Beamer. Like that was, one of the incentives of working there is you could get you a car. And so, you'd go places, people are like, man, you see that BMW? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like a BMW, it's like a Ford Taurus around where we live.
There was a time when we had a 5 Series that they had given to the Highway Patrol, and the Highway Patrol drove a BMW. If I'd ever been governor, I was close, but I didn't quite get there. I was as close as you can get without being governor. I would have tried to have cut a deal with BMW and said, look, make us a car that doesn't have as many frills, but we want to buy South Carolina. And so whether it's Volvo, whether it's BMW, if I were governor, I would do everything I could to patronize businesses that paid taxes and employed people in South Carolina. And we'd have some way that even through government bids, we'd pay a little bit more because of the back end that we collect off that and the jobs those create. And so that was one of the dreams that never worked out. And you never know, I'm 55. Maybe I got one more run in me. Who knows? Not anything I'm looking for right now, looking over there at that 4-year-old here with us. But maybe I just can help pick the right next one. And we have more of that conversation to try to really encourage, because I think a big sales pitch is, hey, if you come to South Carolina, whether it be county, city, state, we're going to try to spend our dollars with you before we ever go outside the boundary of this state to do business with somebody else. And we're going to give you a little attaboy, a little nod, a little good old boy system that we want you here. We're glad to have you here, and we're going to spend our dollars with you first.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the recipe of success in the state is they come, they employ, people start getting great jobs. You start seeing houses go up everywhere. And so, when I was growing up, my dad was in the trades. And so I can remember the huge boom that came to the Greenville area with BMW, and he was building houses like crazy. And then you see that expand. So like Greenville reaped the benefits of that for forever, and still reaping the benefits of it. But then like you go down to Berkeley County, and Volvo shows up and drops in there, basically the same thing, Boeing being down in the same area, like that area growing. And to see Berkeley County today is insane.
Yeah, who'd have ever thought they'd have a Halls in Berkeley County?
Yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, they built a Halls and then built a whole new city around it.
Yeah, when they told me, I had to go see. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and Hall's Chop House is like if you in Greenville,
it's becoming a South Carolina staple now.
Yeah, man,
they're good guys.
It's crazy to see, and I can remember when we launched our Summerville office. And it kind of led to the connection to me and you in that same area. But we launched there, and we started building spec homes and turning things out. And people were like, where are you building these at? And we're like, in Ridgeville, South Carolina. And they're like, Ridgeville? You're building in Ridgeville? And we're like, yeah. And we built a couple of houses out there. And, I mean, you're talking country estates, $800,000 homes, in Ridgeville.
Yeah.
And the people could never wrap their mind around that 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. But it's with all that, the way the state is ran and the incentive for companies to come here, it creates opportunities for everybody. And so now, you look at it and you look at Horry County, the number one destination for people coming here. It's like Horry, Berkeley, Greenville. If you look at the top 5, top 10, South Carolina always has at least 3, if not 4 or 5 of the cities that people are moving to from all over the country. What do you think that's because of?
A lot of things. So with Broad Street that I'm working with now, we're getting ready to do a big one in Lancaster, which has basically become a suburb of Charlotte. Taxes are still low. When I left office, I don't know what it is now. I knew the numbers better, and that's been 14 years ago. But South Carolina ranked 13th in the country when you factored in all taxes. If you look at property taxes, we may think they're high, but if you look other places, if you look at the sales tax on a car, we have a $500 cap. If you buy a brand new Chevy truck, if you go buy your brand new 911, it caps out at $500. When I left office, I had fought it for 8 years to keep it at $300. They managed to get it to $500 after I left office. But you go to Tennessee, it's 10% of whatever you buy.
Yep.
You buy a $50,000 car, you owe an extra $5,000. And so you look at sales tax, you look at hidden fees. While sometimes I still scratch my head and go, we're raising taxes way too fast and spending too much. The one benefit to us is the other states are doing it faster than us.
Yeah.
And so that, when you look at being almost in the center between Miami and New York, when you look at Greenville, almost the center between Charlotte and Atlanta, we are positioned so well. We have 2 major intersections, a gigantic port, one of the biggest on the East Coast. We have a lot of things that are recipes for success. There's still some charm in Southern folks. I can see it changing. Even where I live, I can see a lot more folks moving down, and they don't wave quite as much as I do and don't speak quite as much as I do. But whether we like it or not, it's going to change. I tell you, one of the things I learned at a young age was networking. And everybody says that, but whether it was buying tires or getting somebody to do something for me, they'd patronize me, I'd patronize them, they'd help me a little bit, I'd help them a little bit. And it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. Yep. And so my granddad was a carpenter, and he taught me that at a young age, to network with people. And then when you needed something, people would look after you. And so when you can get that, when you can get the dependable tradesman, whatever it is you're needing to do on a project or a property, sometimes there's value more in the price. There's more value in dependability and knowing the kind of job you're going to get than what the bottom line is.
Yeah. Well, I can say this. I think there's something in being a South Carolinian, right? Especially born and raised. And people see my life. And you only see glimpses. The public eye sees what I put out there. But, I got a huge family. I got tons of commitments as a dad, big commitments as a husband. And then I'm running this enterprise of building, and I'm always doing something. Even my mom texted me like 30 minutes ago and was like, I don't know how you do all of what you do, but I'm proud of you.
Busy people get things done.
Yeah, well, and I was going to say, a testament to that is like you are as busy, maybe busier than me, and always doing something. But the cool thing about it is, if I pick up my phone and I call, you're going to answer the phone. And I don't know very many places that I've been that's always the case. And, the relationships inside of this state that we're in. I mean, like you have people who will answer the phone. It's like a friendship. Like nothing inside of doing business together has been business related. It's just been relationships. And
it's a cool state. I mean, I still call the governor, and keep in mind, I ran against him in 2010, but we're buddies and we're friends. And if I call him, he calls me back. And I don't know how many states you could actually do that. So there is some real charm to South Carolina. And
we still got some spunk in us. We got Nancy Mace. She's the heroine of the state, and moving and shaking. But I called William Timmons last week and caught him on vacation. He took the call. Yeah.
And so when people take my calls, I don't even have to agree with them always politically or how they vote. There's a lot of value in being able to pick up your elected leader and voice your concerns and getting some help. I called Ralph Norman for help with somebody that needed a passport. And I said, look, this guy's not even your constituent, but he needs a little help. and he made it immediately happen. 24 hours, the guy was gone. Ralph got it done for him. And when you have leaders like that that'll jump and make something happen, it sure makes life a lot easier. It makes you feel better about the community you're around.
Yeah. Well, and it opens up doors because, we had the same thing. We had a guy working with us who was from New Zealand, and he had this whole process he was going through where he was going to have to go back to New Zealand, then go to Australia and do all this stuff. And he's like, hey, it's going to take 6 months and all these kind of things. And I pick up the phone and make a phone call, and you were like, hey, you could try calling this person. And it's just a phone number. And I called it, and I'm like, I have no idea who's going to answer the phone. And it's the person answering the phone. And they're like, yeah, just have them do this, this, and this. And, again, it's small town feel, even at the top.
I rode through Greer on the way here, and gosh, it feels great. Matter of fact, the guy I'm meeting at 1 o'clock today, David Berger, they're getting ready to do a new bourbon bar in downtown Greer.
Yeah.
And so there's just everything just seems like it's on fire right now. And I actually think we're going to see a slowing in the economy. I think it's inevitable. And a lot of times as background noise, I'll watch like a CNBC to try to get business take on what people are saying. And you can see the shift in what people are saying. But even so, we won't feel it like most people will.
Yeah, I know. We tend to trend above it, even when you know that it's coming. And we're lucky to not even feel that. I even go back to the COVID and how that whole thing unveiled. In South Carolina, we had a better experience than a lot of people had.
Probably as good as there was in the United States.
Yeah. To experience that compared to friends I've got that are all over the country.
Henry did a good job.
Yeah. It was that's a testament to how we operate here and we get things done. But the cool thing about it is with all the growth comes housing, and that keeps people like us in business, and it makes it really fun, especially when you got one, you got all the incentive that brings business here, which in turn brings people here. And then when people get here, they are looking for homes. And what could happen is the more people that come here, home prices go up, which is going to happen regardless. But finding affordable options. And so like having the Barndo Co., we were able to come in and do these custom homes and have an affordable option for people to build a custom home that's built well on their property. And then, with everything going on with interest rates and how that the economy and all that kind of stuff, like in your mind, what got us here with how things are with the market, and what do you think, in your perspective, it is going to take to shift that moving forward?
I think one of the better things I could tell you right now is I think in a short time you're going to see interest rates drop. Unemployment is going up, whether we like it or not so much here in South Carolina, but across the nation. And you look at Jerome Powell and you can watch him, and rates are going to drop. It's just inevitable. If you look at yesterday, I saw for the first time, I had seen sales in a lot of different things were going down, but yesterday they announced that luxury goods were starting to really feel it. So the wealthy, it took a delayed reaction where the wealthy people were still willing to spend the money on luxury items, but now that's happened. You go by car dealerships, there's plenty of cars on the lot now, and you're seeing better and better. I saw 0.09 financing on cars yesterday. Probably makes sense to finance your car. I've never been a finance person. I lived below my means, but now when you can borrow money at less than 1%, it kind of makes sense to use somebody else's money. Yep. And there's a lot of good deals out there. I bought a Toyota the other day that just came out, one of the new Land Cruisers, and they discounted it, which I could not believe, to get one of the brand new body style Land Cruisers, and they discounted it.
Especially when you go back 2 years ago and you could buy a new car and then turn around, sell it on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah,
and
it's just
put money in your pocket.
It's crazy what's happening. But part of what we got here was the Fed printing money, people living outside their means, and when they got that money, they blew it. I was raised by people that have been through the Depression, so I have a whole different value on money. And for me, I grew up, everybody's got their sob story, but my parents got divorced at a young age, and my mom didn't have much money. So my way out was just to work like crazy as a kid. And so I hustled everything you can think of, from jumping into the golf course pond and getting the golf balls out, washing them, putting them into milk crates and selling them to the golfers coming by, or selling candy at school. And in third grade, I didn't get to visit the State House when everybody did, because I had to stay and write, I will not sell candy. And so it's kind of ironic that years later, I spent 14 years in there. And the day I walked in, I'd never been in the State House with the school group. I didn't get to go. But with those challenges brings a lot of opportunity. And one of the best gigs going that the federal government gives is living in a house 2 years and flipping it. I'm in a house right now, and when I hit that 2-year mark, I'm married, and so each person can make up $250,000. So you can make a nice income with not having to pay any income tax on living in a house. And what my grandfather taught me at a young age when I first started doing this was we'd buy just a base house, and he and I'd get a coping saw out, and we'd cope that molding the old school way. Thing would be bowed in the middle. You wouldn't even think it was going to fit. And I'd say, Popeye, it's not going to fit. And he'd say, you just wait. And he'd start tacking that thing in, and it'd fit we wouldn't use caulk like they do now. And we'd put a bigger baseboard in, and we'd go out there and we'd plant flowers, and we'd build a little brick walkway, and we'd give it some curb appeal, and we'd paint it some cool colors, whatever the hip colors were then. And we'd change out the light switches and put some new knobs on the counters and on the cabinets, and we'd turn around and we'd sell that bad boy. Back then, we didn't spend the money on the countertops. We'd tile them.
Right.
We tile those countertops. Yep. And that made it look more high end than the Formica.
Yep.
And so kind of like the Jeffersons, over the years, I've moved on up, and learned to drill at a much more sophisticated way. But we're out in TR for the next 2 years. And when 2 years rolls around, we've already just about finished up the architectural drawings for where we're moving back downtown. I bought the house and going to move it, and then kind of build my dream home there. And I may stay there a little longer than 2 years this time. At 55, I'm getting a little tired moving that furniture. But I guess one of the things I'd love for them watching your show or listening to your show today is opportunity.
Yep.
And South Carolina is booming with opportunity. And you could say, well, I'm not in the housing business. You could start a cleaning service. You could start a landscaping business. You could start a junk hauling off business. Whatever it is, if you do what you say you're going to do, if you answer that phone, if you show up when you say you're going to do, and you're fair with people, whatever it is you want to do, there'll be opportunity. Who'd have ever thought that we live in a world now where I don't go to the grocery store anymore? My time's too valuable. I can pay somebody to drop it off at my front door. Yep. And so I never thought I'd live in that world. The other night I went to dinner. I had a perfectly good car sitting at the hotel. But I realized I could pay somebody for a few bucks and never worry if I had a drink, worry about where I was going to park when I got in downtown Atlanta. I took my daughter to see Olivia Rodrigo. Yeah. And so never thought I'd be doing that either. But there's so much opportunity, TJ. You've capitalized on it. I've capitalized on it. And hopefully people watching your show are looking for inspiration, drive, or opportunity. And there's so much out there. And at your fingertips now, you can educate yourself better than any school can on any field you want. So hopefully that's why people are watching your show, to get more information on, maybe they're trying to find themselves spiritually, emotionally, financially, and they go, man, this guy's got it going on with balancing a short school bus full of kids, and he's still making a living. How's he doing it? I want to get some of what he's got.
Yeah, well, I mean, a big piece of this is like we get on here and we talk about like the nitty gritty of barndominiums, right? Like how to do it, step-by-step process. But another piece of what we do is empower. And what's been cool is other business leaders watch it, or people with a dream of entrepreneurship watch. And the number one thing that I get is a message from someone saying, "Hey man, I saw your show and I want to take a step. I want to do something like that. I want to, grow my business, be it through the way we do our core values, or the way that we invest back into our people." Or it's kind of bizarre, because in the beginning I was like, hey, this will be a great resource for people looking to build barndominiums, and it is. But beyond that, it's like a great opportunity for other business leaders to get some inside dynamic on building teams and leadership. And how do you take people who may not agree with you 100% of the time on everything, but also find some common ground and grow a team with a lot of different people, and that's you. I mean, you've done that most of your life. So, what kind of feedback you got, something like that?
Couple of things. trying to find you a picture as we're sitting here talking. Core. If you've got a core, if you've got a reason, if you've got a drive, all those help. One of the big things is I got a big family now. I've got a big spiritual faith in God, and it gets better every day because I'm working on it. It's one of my things. The big things I'm praying about right now is to bring my kids to where they understand God and what you've got to do to get that. And that little 4-year-old, he's almost 5 now. He and I are talking about God a lot, and he's asked me a lot of questions. A lot of the questions I say, son, I'm not sure about that in heaven either. But I'm happy that we're having that conversation. And I was going to show you this. I don't have to agree with you on anything.
Yep.
And you see, that's not one of those pictures you just take. That's somebody that we grew a 2-year friendship traveling around the world. And I just showed him a picture of Kamala Harris. For 2 years, she and I traveled the world with 20 people they picked throughout the country to do a 2-year fellowship. And so most of the time she'd be diabolically on the opposite end politically when we talked, but when the discussion was over, there's no hard feelings. Look, if I was raised in, I'll say Branchville, South Carolina, because my grandparents were raised there. But if I was raised in rural South Carolina, in a different scenario than I was, my feelings about the role of government, the role of other people, how I felt about people that had more money than I would be vastly different than what they are. Right. While I was raised and didn't have a ton of money as a kid, I took myself. There were people I knew a guy at my school, and he sold Amway, and he would let me listen to the tapes, and it said, go ride by the car dealerships, the cars you like. He said, go ride by the houses you like. Go in the stores and look at the clothes you like. And so at a young age, I was an information grabber, like a sponge. I was always looking, and I didn't care so much about what the money would buy me. I cared about the empowerment that I never had to depend on anybody. I never wanted to know I had to go do something I didn't want to do. So I've worked for landscape companies and laid out sod in the summer times. I've worked at Christmas tree farms and weed eated around them and sprayed them and chopped them with machetes to shape them. I've had some jobs that I don't want to go back and do at my age now, but I was never too proud to do them. But for me, a lot of it is spiritual, and you don't have to believe in my God, but I think having a core, having something that you try to work for self-improvement, and if you've got a significant, you don't have to have a family. You could have a significant other or a parent. I've got aging parents now that I'm trying to, I had my mother here this weekend, and she's tough like me, and she's a little difficult, but we had the most incredible weekend spending time together because I told myself we were going to have an incredible weekend, and we really did. Went to a pretty place. We were riding around the neighborhood and saw a mama bear with 2 little teeny cubs after a fruit tree had just fallen over after a storm. And so that's part of, you got to have a why. Yep. And so I got a big why, and that little boy over there, he's my real why now. And I've got 3 stepkids that are a little more quiet, a little more shy, that I every day am working on trying to help them be who they want to be, because I don't want them to be like me. I'm not trying to, they got different goals, different dreams, but I want them to have encouragement, and I want them to chase those dreams. And so I think part of what I leave this earth with, my real legacy, will be how I shape those 4 kids. Yep. And so that's my big why.
Well, and I'll be honest, I love seeing on Sunday, every Sunday.
Yeah, that's my wife's thing. She pushed me to do. I've only missed one since she and I have been together 7.5 years. Matter of fact, our anniversary is 2 weeks from now. We'll have 6 years, and so it's been
happy early anniversary.
Thank you. It has been a blessing beyond belief to find a partner. I just hate that it took me to 49 to find one, and 50 to get married, and then have a little boy a year later. If I had a do-over again, even if I had known the marriage wouldn't work, having my best friend, having a working partner, and somebody that we share in everything, I would have got married a lot earlier in life, even if I knew it wasn't going to work, because it's so much better than going through life alone. Yep. And I was an empty guy. I dated some great people, but at the end of the day, I didn't have a core person that I was with all the time, and it was empty, and I was empty for a long time, and I knew I was empty then. It wasn't like I found it later on. I knew then, and my finances got way, way, way better after I got married. My relationship with God got better, a whole lot of things, because I had somebody that was helping me, that had my best interests in heart, and it has really allowed me to hone my skills beyond belief. I'm at a point now where I'm almost giddy about my life, because my blessings have flowed. So I've had so much abundance in the last couple of years, Just friendships. One of the things I prayed about was meeting some folks that I really wanted to hang out with. And I ran into these guys at Broad Street, and I saw what they were doing in Greenville. I really went to them with a deal, trying to get them to help me on something, and that didn't work out. But we ended up forging a friendship, and then I saw what they were doing, and it was so energizing to see this level of development with South Carolina companies, not other companies coming in here and pulling all the fruit and leaving in South Carolina, getting to keep it in South Carolina, reinvest it in South Carolina. It's been so exciting. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to give a tour of some of the developments we're doing, and it's just incredible. Whether you look at the Slice restaurant they have there in Simpsonville, or the restaurant they're doing next door, soon to be, all these different developments they're doing. They got 3 going right behind BMW right now in Greer. And so that's kind of what I'm going through. It's cool stuff in life, and God gives you a lot of different opportunities and challenges, and part of really life is how you deal with those. And I've had some, don't get me wrong, I lost a governor's race in 2010. 2 years later, I ran in a 13-way congressional race and won, but I didn't get 50% in the runoff. The sitting governor came in and helped my opponent, and they beat me. And I spent a lot of my personal money and lost. So that was 2 losses back to back. I had a plane crash in 2006 that left me where I couldn't physically walk. It ripped part of my face off. You can still see where it ripped my lip off there. It put me through the windshield of a plane. And I had some down points. There, no question. There was a lady named Dee Benedict that lived here in Greenville. She had a little cabin, and she let me come stay in that cabin. And during that time, I got a lot closer to the Lord, and I realized that if I won or lost, didn't really matter at that point in time. So, but I've had some lows along the way, and part of was how resilient you were to come back. And I didn't immediately bounce back in any of those. I had low points, and I was questioning God, and I was questioning myself and decisions I made. And but you just got to keep on keeping on. And I think at the end of the day, the person that continues, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out where the strong man stumbled or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again. But there is not effort without errors and shortcoming. Because in the end, and I've lost the quote now, but it's you'll either strive and enjoy with great victory, or you'll fail while daring greatly, because that's what life is all about. It's my favorite quote. I got lost somewhere in the middle of it, but it's Teddy Roosevelt.
100%. It's hanging on the wall in my office.
And it's a killer quote. And the last sentence of it, and their hearts will never be with those cold, timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And that speaks volumes.
Yep. And
so I'm willing to strike out a lot, and every now and then I do, but I get some home runs in there every now and then too.
Well, people see my home runs, and they think that's all there is.
Pun intended.
Yeah. Pun intended. But you talked about the power of your wife. And so my wife, it has been.
She got to have superpowers.
Oh, dude. Everybody's like, DJ, you're an incredible person. They're like, you adopted kids. You have all these kids. No. I married a great woman. And she's my base. And the cool thing about having a spouse is no one will call you on your BS quicker, with more effectiveness than a loving spouse. And she is the grounding rod. She is the one that will absolutely blow any stupid idea to smithereens. If I'm acting some kind of way, or I'm not being true to who I say I'm going to be, she's the first one. I mean, I've had a million times.
How long have you been married?
We have been married since 2009. We just did she's going to kill me. You put me on the spot here. We just celebrated 15th. Hold on.
Yeah, that's right.
No. Yeah, 15th. We just did our 15-year anniversary. We've been together for 18 years. We hit that mile marker this year, and so that always throws me off. But I was smart. I'll never forget my anniversary, because we started dating on March 28th. 2 years later, I asked her to marry me, or 1 year later, I asked her to marry me on March 28th.
That work day, it's easier to remember.
And then we got married on March 28th, and everybody's like, that's so romantic. I'm like, no, that was a strategic move. I can remember the date. I have to do math to remember the years, but we've officially been with each other longer than we were without each other, and that's a bizarre place to be.
That's cool.
But she's seen the mud on the face.
Yeah.
She's seen the failures. She's lived through them. I have no shortage of ideas. You know, I can drive down the road and come up with a business plan. And she's lived through those, and like, you know, she's seen us sink our money into something or seen me chase something, and she's seen when I come up short on that, and like, you know, she's seen me at my lowest points to where, you know, to be honest, there's a lot of times where I wanted to quit, and she would be the reason why I didn't. And then of course we start having kids in there, and then like you can't quit, you know, and like there was so many letdowns and disappointments and devastations, and you know, I can remember in 2020 thinking I have no idea what my life is going to look like. And then I can remember in 2021 when I had left, you know, the corporate area of life, and I was doing my own thing, just what TJ wanted to do. And I went to an event, and it was a networking event with a bunch of business people, and they were like, "What do you do?" And I had no idea how to answer that question. Like, what do you do? Anything you need done? You know, like I had no idea how to answer that question. And then I joined a group of guys. Nick Alfano, I've had him on the show. He runs he hates the word mastermind, or, you know, like a coaching program called The Program. And I went into that same thing. And the first day, the first minute was, hey, we're going to go around the room. Everybody's going to stand up and you're going to say who you are and what you do. And I was like, well, I'm TJ, and I got, you know, 174 kids. But I have no idea how to tell you what I did. And it was because I was spinning so many plates because I had to provide, but I didn't have any core identity. And then Barndo was born. And
I still don't.
Yeah. Like, Barndo was kind of born, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's the Barndo guy." Like I was at CC's Pizza. First time I've been to CC's Pizza since I was a kid. You know, and my son was there. He's getting his hair cut. My wife had ran to Target.
He gets his hair cut at the pizza place
next door, and we come out. And my wife's at Target, and we thought
sounds cheesy.
It was going to take 30, 45 minutes to get his hair cut. We were in and out like 10 minutes. And because he's growing his hair out, he just needed a little trim. And my wife's like, I'm still at Target. So CC's next door, and he's like, let's go eat pizza. So we go in there, and we're like sitting down, and it's not as good when you're, you know, 38 as it was when you're a kid. And we're sitting at the table, and people are like, hey, man, I watch your show. You know, I follow you on Facebook. And like, people know me as the Barndo guy. But
not a bad thing to be known as.
No, absolutely not. Like, that's great. Like, I am the Barndo guy. However, I got another friend and a coach in my life, and he said the same thing. He's like, TJ, you want to be known for a lot of stuff. He's like, you're passionate. I'm just a passionate person. Like, I don't ever do anything kind of. I'm either all in or not at all. And, you know, if a new hobby comes along, I'm in. I'm in it to win it. You're going to look at me and be like, that dude's been doing this his whole life. Just based on the appearance, I'm going to have everything that you could possibly have associated to this hobby or this anything. Like, I'm all in or I'm not in it at all. And he was like, you know, based on core values and leaving a legacy, TJ, you'll never be known for all those things. You can only be known for like a couple things. And so one of the things he challenged me to do was like, hey, right now you're doing all these things and you'll never be great at any of them if you don't focus on some of them. And so he was like, what are the most important ones? I was like, well, I want to be known as a good husband, right? That's something I work for every single day, and it is the hardest job I have. Number 2, I want to be known as a good dad. I want to be a business leader or a leader of some sort, and I love to give. Giving is my passion, and there's and that's another side of it is that anything I do, I'm like, man, if they had a little more money or they had this or that, like it would be so much better. And so I love to give. And so that was my 4 things. And so he was like, if you want to be an amazing husband and an amazing dad and an amazing leader and an amazing philanthropist, you don't got time to be an amazing friend. You can be a friend, but when you're faced with a decision of, hey, do I go on this amazing trip with my buddies or do I stay home with my kids? It puts it in perspective. So now I have these 4 buckets. And so all those 4 buckets absolutely control my life. And so when I'm looking at doing something, because I love to do, I love being busy, I have to ask myself, does this fit into one of these? And if the answer is no, then I have to justify taking away from one of those 4 things to make that happen.
It makes a whole lot of sense.
Oh, man, and it changed the way I operate because I used to say yes to everything because I am the networking, the big friendly guy that's friends with everybody and knows everybody and does everything. And, now I'm conscious with what I say yes to, and something that, my personality type is I'm just a yes, sure, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And then I'm looking at my calendar and I'm like, all right, I got 24 hours and I got 36 hours worth of stuff to do. And by saying no, it put me back in control. And now I'm investing my time where it matters. And so that's been revolutionary to what I do. But the cool thing about it is like we have Summer Bash coming up on the 17th. And I've said this a million times. I've even had Pam on the show, but like the Carolina Miracle League is the organization that we partnered with a couple years ago and said, hey, look, this is going to be our cause. We're going to give to this. And last year we threw the first one on a whim. I left work one day and was like, I'm going to book the water park and for a private event. I'm going to invite all the Miracle League kids to come out. And then I was like, I want to give them a big check. And so we just wrote a big check and had this big thing, and it was fun. And I was like, we're doing that again next year. And so this year we're trying to give an insane amount of money. And what's been really cool is everybody has bought into that because it's such a staple of who we are as a company. Like everybody has been, hey, I'll donate this. And what's really neat is through trade partners and stuff like that, they've already donated more money than we gave last year. And so when we give what we were intending to give, we're going to give so much more than we even imagined possible. But it's just being able to do that and have a purpose beyond just having a business that makes money just because for the sake of making money. Like I'm not a materialistic kind of guy. Like I drive a nice car. I got a few vices, but like if you see me, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be in a t-shirt, pair of old shoes or Crocs or something. Like I don't dress nice. I like watches. I like trucks. Beyond that, I like boats, but like I just don't care about any material, anything. I would rather give it. Like if I've got what my income is, and my income is sustainable for me and my family, anything above that to me is a bigger shovel to give to things that I'm passionate about. And so that's being in that place now versus Haley's 14. She'll be 15 this November. She started playing Miracle League when she was 4. So 11 years, basically 10 to 11 years ago. When we went there the first time, it was $25 to play. I think it's 45 now, but it was $25 to play. That covered your jersey and, the cost of doing everything. And I didn't have it. And somebody donated $25 for my kid to play. And now to be in a position where we can donate hundreds of thousands of dollars and volunteer and sponsor the teams and do all that kind of stuff is surreal to me. And it's not for my own ego. It is the thankfulness of generosity of a God that loves me because I am not anything special. I'm diabolical even. Like it's the fact that someone like me could find the success that we've had and have this one moment of winning and then to be able to come in and give back to that. And like something that's passionate to me because I got a daughter with special needs that, when we adopted Haley, they told us she'd never walk. They told us she'd never talk, that she'd never be able to eat food. She was on a feeding tube and she's done all those things. And like to see her playing baseball, is surreal to me. Like it's an incredible thing. And like, to be in a position to where making the main thing and having that why is better than anything else. Like building Barndos is fun, but it's not what my purpose is. My purpose is way bigger than that. It's giving and pouring into people and helping people win. I celebrate people winning. I don't have competitors. I don't see anybody as a threat. Like your success is your success. It doesn't cost me anything to cheer for you. And so I am the same way. Like you show a picture of you and Kamala Harris. Like it's mind boggling to some people, right? Especially if they know you. And like, I know, what your position is in politics, but at the end of the day, people are people. And like, there is no threat to TJ by anybody doing anything, anywhere, anytime. I'm not intimidated by your success, and your success does not limit my success. And I don't live by comparison, and that's something I didn't figure out till I was in my mid-30s. But it's just easier. It's easier to just have community and not have competition.
I like seeing people do good. There's some people I know I'm never going to do as good as them, but it doesn't bother me. I like seeing people successful. I actually feed off of it.
Yep. One of my best friends owns a business here in the upstate, and I tell him all the time, like, we kind of like are the fuel for each other, right? Like, I'll see him slam dunking on stuff, and it challenges me, and like we just cheer for each other, and it's fun. And like, you know, we were all hanging out and at one of these big award things a couple weeks ago, and you know, he was like, "Man, I can't believe those dudes won. You know, we didn't win the award. Like, we made top 3, but we did not win the award." And he was like, "Man, that sucks." And the same thing happened to him. He's like, every year, man, I get here. He's like, and this other company wins, and we're just laughing. I was like, "Well, I'll boo those people. You boo my people." It's fun to be in an environment where like winning is just a byproduct of what the mission is, right? Like, I'm doing it because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And we win a lot of stuff. Like, we won best of the upstate or best of Spartanburg last night. But that's not the mission. Like, the mission is just to do what I'm supposed to be doing and be happy in doing it. And does it support me? Because my family is my priority. And for a long time, I made them the back burner so I could go chase all this other stuff. And when I flip the script, I chase them, and this becomes the thing that supports that. And so that, I think having that why, you hit the nail on the head. So that's golden.
My whys have changed. It's Andre Bauer over there. What you smiling at?
That's awesome.
And so the age difference, my grandfather was my hero beyond belief, and he was 5 years older than what I am with my son and I. It's only 5 more years difference than. And so I realized I only have so many healthy days left on this life. I mean, at 55, I'm past the halfway point for sure. And so I got so many that are healthy, and I'm going to try to spend them enjoying the hang out of my kids and my wife and my friends, and just take in all these blessings, because they aren't going to be there forever. So it's fun to get to share that experience with other people and to try to help other people get those experiences, because I didn't get here by myself. You know, sometimes I forget that there are a lot of people along the way that gave me a little nudge, gave me a little help, especially when I was in politics, to think back at so many of those folks that helped me along the way and gave a 32-year-old the opportunity to be a heartbeat away from being the governor of this state was a blessing beyond belief. I look back now and I go, gosh, the fact that people elected me 32 to go in and be lieutenant governor at 33, and for 8 years as the youngest lieutenant governor in the country, the fact that people of South Carolina gave me that opportunity was incredible. It was truly incredible, and I feel like we did a good job, but I feel blessed that I got those life experiences, and that's why I love the state we live in. I know this state backwards and forwards. You could ask me about any county in the state. We got 46 of them. And I could tell you something about every single one of them, and an experience that I've had in every single one of them, and a friend that I've gotten in every single one of them. We have an unbelievable state. One thing I'd like to see, this is totally switching gears, but I would love to see us, I'm not there now, but in the legislature, I would love to see them do something to more incentivize the rural counties and the small cities that aren't near an airport, that aren't near an interstate and aren't near a spinoff of a big city. Because the Greers are making it because of how successful Greenville is. But you go over to Union County, it's a whole different animal. They're not close to an interstate. They're not close to a big city. And those people are still struggling, and they haven't gotten to see the victories that South Carolina has, maybe a little bit, but not to the level. I used to represent them in the Senate. And they have a lot more challenges because of how hard it is to get there, the industry they have there. I think you got Disney. They're doing like sweatshirts and stuff, but I'd really like to see us incentivize. I'd like to see some of the wealthy retirees moving down, bring them into these small cities, because they're paying for their health care. They don't have kids to educate. They use very little goods and services, but they bring a lot of wealth. And so if you could say, hey, we'll give you income tax for 2 years free if you'll stay for the next 5 years in Union County. You pick Jonesville, Lockhart, wherever it is, Whitmire, you pick where it is. Whitmire's actually in Newberry County. But you pick somewhere in there and try to get some of this wealth to come not to Greenville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach. We got to do something to lift up the the smaller.
Well, if you get resource people in unresourced areas, resources are
There you go. Yeah. I mean, when you look at Marlboro, Dillon, Jasper, Hampton, all those counties need immense help. And Jasper's going to get it because it's next to Beaufort. But some of these other ones, you look at Marion County, for example, they're struggling. Yeah. And they're going to struggle in Union and Fairfield, Chesterfield. We got to do things to try to help them. And I hope that some of these elected leaders will have a vision in some way to do that.
Yep. Well, it is a highly political environment right now as we're moving into presidential elections. And so, there's a lot of things that can change overnight, but none of it changes on a dime, and so it's wild to see how not about the issues people become, and it becomes about personality rather than issues. But I'm hoping that we can do that. And one of the things that we've done, and we can kind of wrap on this, but with the current state of things, right? We came off of this massive boom, record low interest rates, and all this stuff, and that's kind of when we birthed the company. You couldn't have picked a better time. But we came out of that, and now we're in historically low, but overall these are high interest rates, and the affordability factor for people to get into the home they want. It was a struggle because you went from the land of milk and honey to almost a standstill. But the crazy part about it is you can't stop because there is a huge housing deficit. There's a huge deficit in the county, and people don't understand that. But we could all keep building at the same rate, and we will not close the deficit on the amount of homes that are needed in the area. The problem now is what with interest rates, it changes what people can afford. So one thing that we've done, in addition to our Barndo offerings, which is a really affordable apples to apples to custom home building, it's not it's not the cheapest way to build, but comparatively speaking, it is more affordable than building a conventional home with the same features and benefits. But one thing that we did, because so many people could not afford to build what they needed to do, is we launched a brand new product, and it drops on August the 5th across South Carolina and North Carolina, is SFH Homes. And that is a way for us to take the cost of building and cut it by almost 15-20% in some instances.
How you doing that?
So what we did was we took plans that everybody liked, and we created a couple new ones. And
stamp them out now.
Yep. And we went in and said, okay, how can we construct this to where you can get the square footage you need, but we can eliminate some of the things that are upgrades. And so we rolled out this brand new affordable housing program. And matter of fact, I'm going to lunch today to try to piece together some of the incentives for USDA and FHA loan requirements for these lower cost homes, because it's great that you can do them, but there's not necessarily a loan program right now for those type of construction. So we're trying to nail all this together, but August 5th it rolls out, and we will have the most affordable way to build a single family home on your land in the state of South Carolina.
I've always wondered, TJ, why somebody, and you'd have to have some deep pockets, but somebody didn't, get a person in their office. All they did was find a company that was closing out countertops, and you just warehoused them all. And you found a lighting company that was going out of business or having a huge sale, and you bought all the lighting fixtures. And you did that with sinks, and you all of a sudden, and sometimes it wasn't saving you cost, but it was allowing you to get a much nicer product at the price you would have been buying for the regular countertop, faucet, whatever. If somebody had a nice warehouse, it'd have to be a big one, but you stored so much of the things that are required in a home. I don't know. I just always wondered why somebody did.
Well, I think you probably do have that on some of the larger scale people.
Yeah.
They come in and buy it out, but they control the inventory and then they control the margin. So I don't know that it gets passed all the way down to the.
Yeah, I bought a lighting store one time in foreclosure. I bought a furniture store one time in foreclosure. And of course, I just had to flip the deals, make a little money and move on down the road because I didn't have where to store it and I didn't have a way to manage the inventory. But seems to me there'd be some opportunity to do that. I've done it with light fixtures and just held them all till I built something. But gosh, if there was a website where you could go to find it all with all that you're building, if you could find somebody that said, hey, I got this much XYZ, and you go, okay, well, about what I'm paying for this, but man, it's so much nicer that I'm going to be able to give my customer even something nicer. whether it's front doors or whatever it is.
It's a good idea. I think my team would kill me if I came in with that idea, because like I say, there's never a shortage of ideas. But yeah, again, we're excited to meet the people where they are, and we know affordability is an issue with rates. We're all praying rates drop, and if they do, they're going to drop. It just sweetens the pot.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, it has to. But when?
And one thing you touched on, you're right. Sometimes the rates were higher than they are now. However, the rate at which the product went up at an exponential cost did not do that. And one is because of the other. When the rates were so low, they could continue to go up, and people could the rate was so cheap, they could buy the more expensive home. But with the inflation and the devaluation of the dollar, it's now, and with the high interest rate, it ain't working.
Yeah, you can't have this and. It's got to be this or. And we got to get back. It's got to adjust at some point. And I know it will, but in the interim, we had so many people that just were stuck. And so we built this whole thing out, and we're excited to launch it. And I'm hoping that it'll provide more opportunities for people in South Carolina and North Carolina and eventually Tennessee to get into a home they can afford with all the size requirements that they have for their family. But man, I appreciate you coming on here and spending some time with me.
Thank you for having me.
You're always a joy to be around, man. You're always in an upbeat mood, and like I've never seen you be just like I say a ghost town or unavailable. You're always, what's up, man? What are we doing today? Like, and so I appreciate the spirit, man, and you represent us well, and I was so happy that you came on here to spend some time.
I've been looking forward to it.
Just talking leadership, but I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, bud.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.